teach virtually, and her school is hybrid right now. It's fine to finish the school year off. I mean, so it would be easy. And I mean, and they're looking for kids from all over. They want diverse kids, and they're looking for kids from all over the United States. I mean, the biggest thing is that for School of Rock, that they find kids that can actually sing and play instruments and look younger. So she's not doing one of the audition for instrument players. Oh, we're gonna have to call in. We're all here except for Kristen. So I'll finish fast. But the kids that play instruments, that's why they're looking all over the United States, because they really play the instruments in the show. So yeah, it's super cool.
That's what's up. Madam Chair, the floor, Kyle, can you give me access so I can pull over Hugh Gladwin and Mark G when I get a chance? And Kyle, you can go ahead and get ready to start recording. And Madam Chair, the floor is yours. Madam Chair, we don't have, oh, there she is. There's Kristen. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I guess we can go ahead. We have everybody, so we can call to order. Today's February 17th Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force meeting at 2:32 p.m. I'm sorry, 3:32 p.m. And we can start with the silent meditation and pledge.
One second, I'm gonna bring it up now.
All right. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Give me a second.
All right, great. Whenever you're ready, Mayor Nickerson, we'll go into the roll call.
I'm going to roll call. Member Valencia.
Present.
Member McLean.
Present.
Member Kirk.
Here.
Good to see you, Member Kirk. Vice Chair
You as well.
Fuso. Vice Chair Fuso. Vice.
Present.
And Chairperson Carpenter.
Present. And also like to welcome the village manager and Hugh Gladwin as well.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We you do have a quorum. Yes, the village manager is here. It's good to see the village manager. Hugh Gladwin's being brought over right now, and we also have Mr. Jean here, who is from CAP Government, and we'll get to them in a second. They're on the agenda.
All right, welcome everyone. All right, before we start jumping into the substance, has everyone had an opportunity to look at the agenda? And does anyone have any changes? No changes? No? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
And can I get a second?
Second.
All right, hearing a motion in a second. All those in favor of approving today's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, today's agenda is approved. Moving on to the approval of minutes that Member Quirk has prepared from last meeting. Does anyone have any changes to those? No changes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve last meeting's minutes?
Motion to approve our minutes from
I
last
hear a
meeting.
motion from Ms. Bruton. Can I get a second?
Second.
Your second. Hearing a motion in a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. All right, and we can jump right into F, which I'll pass back to Mayor Nickerson for the acknowledgement of visitors and special presentations.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. I'm going to turn over to the village manager in a second for this. This is through CAP Government, and they'll explain it, flood management performance measures and national flood insurance that could be available. Madam Manager, if you will.
Yes, thank you very much for having. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to see you all. I'm glad my schedule coordinated well enough where I could attend the meeting today. Thanks for having me. I did ask Mayor Nickerson if we could please present on today's agenda a message from CAP government. As you may or may not know, back in 2019, the village adopted an ordinance that follows the Florida floodplain management performance measures. We adopted that as part of it's part of the Florida Building Code, and we do institute these measures. However, we have something that the building official, Mr. Margine, and the municipal director, Ross Prieto, presented to me last week regarding next steps, something we could do that could help our residents with flood insurance. It could really bring some relief. We don't know how many people, or maybe Mr. G knows by now, because there was some research to be done to see who had flood insurance and what we can do to just assist our residents in that way. So there are measures that we could employ through the village administration that would just go to help the residents. So I'm going to ask Mr. Jean to unmute so he can kind of talk about those things. But our biggest task would be to get the word out. And that's where I'm coming to the resiliency or the sustainability and resiliency task force to get your assistance with that. So
Madam Manager, before Mr. Jean gets started, do you guys want Mr. Pareto to come over also? Is he part of, yes?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Jean.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Nickerson. Thank you, Madam Manager, and the other members of the committee for having us. I got some numbers from the gentleman from the community rating system, the CRS, and he gave me actually some figures to go off of. For the village of El Portal, in terms of flood insurance that's in force, there is 111 residents. The total premium amount is $65,151,000. And let's see here, insurance in force, they have 30,700,800 in terms of the insurance in force. So I got those figures from the gentleman that does the community rating system. Basically, when a community goes into the rating system, it's there's a certain levels that you can obtain, with certain measures that if you have in place, the lower the number, the better the insurance premium for the residents when they're within the community rating system. And also I'm gonna have Ross, we're gonna kind of tag team here. Ross kind of chime in on here. I don't see Ross. Is Ross on here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hey Ross.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? I'm Ross Prieto. I'm CAP Government Dade County Manager. It's a pleasure to meet with all of you. What we're presenting here today is just an overview of what the community has at present. 111 policies in force for a little over $30 million, not many claims, and not much money paid out. It's actually very small because the topography of your community shows that you have some special flood hazard areas, but the majority is within an X zone, which is sort of a blessing to any community. I know that you have some challenges with stormwater, and it would be, a real community decision to move forward with any CRS program, because you can see the numbers there aren't a lot of policies. So, it's just really a decision what you would like to do with the community, if you would like to concentrate on some of these discounts or move forward with possibly perfecting some of the stormwater management issues that you may be able to identify. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. It'd be a pleasure.
Good afternoon. This is Courtney Kirk. I'm trying to understand what those measures might be, what we would do, what the benefits would be, how much it would cost, how long it would take. Perhaps you've communicated with the village manager, but I'm unaware of the details.
Okay, as far as the CRS program, the Community Rating System program, it's a group of measures that are reported to the state that will provide a certain amount of discounts on the flood insurance for your residents. In other words, right now, the community is paying a little over $65,000 in flood premiums. And if you were to join the CRS, you can get anywhere for every point is 5% in the CRS. So if you go from a 9, which is the lowest rating, you go to an 8, you can get a 5% discount. Go to a 7, you're getting 10% discount on that 65,000. Granted, I can tell you that my experience with other communities, 111 policies is very, very small. So, there would be an investment in that area for the CRS. You have a lot of that information already because it's information that exists, and it's just a matter of reporting it, possibly investing a little bit of money in more reporting or a few other things, get that information out to the community, and you can get them some discounts, but it will be limited because you have a very small amount of policies. Now, this is absolutely a community choice. You can go with it, and it's a good thing all the way around, but you have to weigh it against the investment.
What can you speak? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kirk, but I think you're about to ask the same thing. Can you tell us?
I probably am. Can you tell me what sort of information we need to report, how often it has to be reported, that kind of thing?
It's a 2-year cycle, and the information is contained in the CRS manual. It's directly out of FEMA. You would have some reporting. You would have some publicity to do, some pamphlets and put some stuff up, at the community center, maybe some posters or whatever. Anywhere where you can get the message out at the community center, at the park, and create these messages. Any type of community vehicle that you may have, you can put in, a small advertising, something that will tell the community to look into flood policies and stuff. It's just a way of getting the word out. Also, we've put in little ribbons into the water bills and the garbage bills and stuff like that. So that will gain you points. Then also quantifying what your stormwater system is. What do you have, and what kind of a system you have. I don't have that information for your community. We haven't even looked at it, but that would get, depending on the type of system you have and the upkeep of it and the maintenance, you'll be able to gain some points on that. A measurement of your green areas and your pervious areas is another way to gain points. So it's not that many categories, but the reporting is pretty strict on that, and you'll gain a certain amount of points, and those points will take you to a category that will favor the community in discounts.
Okay. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Courtney.
No, go ahead, Madam Chair.
This is the CRS program is a federal program run through FEMA, or it's a local program?
It comes down through FEMA, but it's administered through the Insurance Services Office through the state of Florida.
Okay, and then the reporting and publication requirements that you just kind of walked us through, that would be something that the village would do as administration, not the individual residents.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
It's something that's done on their behalf. And one of the parts, once you get the community buy-in, once you've made the decision to do this, you'll have a group that will need to be formed of at least 3 stakeholders of the community, and it's a group that's involved in public information. It's a very specific little thing. They meet only once a year in order to sort of put down a plan. What's going to be our plan for the new year coming in? So it's a very specific committee, and it's a committee for public information. It's not, and that is the sort of like the authorizing vote at the beginning of the year to start working on this.
Okay, and there's no direct financial investment necessary from the village. It's a time investment to do the reporting, to do the publication, that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, the investment is it depends on how far you want to go.
But does the village have to pay any fees to participate in the program, you know,
No.
upfront or throughout?
No,
Okay.
no, nothing upfront.
Okay.
But as you go along, there's certain things, you know, you might have to spend some money on.
Okay, but the money is not paid to participate in the program. It's
No,
money
no,
spent
there's
to
no fee
publish
for admission.
advertising and things like that.
No, there's no fee for admission. It's
Okay.
all internal.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you.
It would be like the way we manage our stormwater, so
Yeah.
that investment, the investment
Right.
in pervious material for.
Correct. I mean, it could be as simple as spending some money on publications to get that word out and putting up, you know, some wraps on the trucks or whatever to get the word out in order to gain that that amount of points for that category, and as involved as you know, going into public works and saying, hey, you know, we need a few more structures, we need some more drainage, there's some areas that we need to address, and investing a ton of money in that infrastructure, which will definitely gain you points. But you know, that's a big project. We're talking about a big project there, you know, for a community the size of Wuppertal. So
Can I ask a question? So you mentioned that we have over 100 policies in our community, correct?
yes,
Do we need the approval of those 100 households? I mean, I'm part of them. I pay flood insurance because I am very close to the river. So do we need all of this 100 so plus whatever households approval in order to actually for the city to get involved into this program, or how does that work? Do we need?
no,
Okay.
that's simply a that's simply an El Portal decision, administration. If you decide to go into it, then you go into it, and it is for the benefit of the community. And this in particular is for the benefit of those policyholders, very specific.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So still, I don't know if is there just a target amount, or is it could be like 2 houses and we're reporting on those 2 people that decide to buy into this?
No, this is it's community wide. It's a program that's developed for the entire community. So it's nothing that those particular houses have to do. They don't have to do anything in particular. They don't have to report. They're not named. They're not identified in any way, only that they are policy holders. That's it. There's nothing that they need to do. This is an administrative program within El Portal.
Madam Chair, if I may, so if I understand correctly, we have $65,000 approximately in premiums. If we were to get 2 points, that would drop those premiums by 10% or 6,500.
Yes, sir.
That would cost the village whatever, no upfront cost, but whatever we need to capture and report the data, publicize, whatever we have to do, those costs associated with it.
Yes,
And
sir.
the benefit would be for those 111 residents who have policies. Is
That's
all that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I can see how this might be beneficial with larger communities that have more premiums and more people in there. I'm concerned for us, if it actually takes any real effort, that's cost, effort, et cetera, for very little financial benefit for our little village. That was not addressed to you, Mr. Prieto. That was addressed to the task force. You're providing very valuable information. It just, I question if that's where we want to focus our effort.
Well, one of the things and it's just, you know, with your comment, Member Kirk, maybe we can actually get these 3 people involved in order to report and do the reporting, you know, to get 3 of the people that are getting the benefit of it to be involved into reporting. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it won't be a big investment in terms of the time of the administration of the village, just only like supervising whatever it is that we need to report. I mean, it's an idea. So at the end of the day, if these 100 or so households are getting benefit, they need to work for it as well, in my opinion.
Mr. Prieto, do you think you could speak to the do you think you could speak to the average cost saving? I know you said 1 point is 5%, but what's the maximum cost saving? You know, best case scenario, how much are you saving? And what's the
25%.
I'm sorry?
A quarter, a 25%.
25%. What is the average city municipality saving?
The average city is about 6.
6%?
They're 6, so they're about 15. 15%.
Oh, 6 points, 15%. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Mr. Gladwin, you wanted to interject?
Yeah, I just wanted to give some background if I could. In the 20 years I've been on the LMS steering committee, the CRS has been a really major thing, and for a lot of communities, the program makes a colossal difference to homeowners because they have so many houses in flood. And, you know, over the years, it almost comes up. The LMS actually has a lot of information to give on it, and help they could give. Actually, Mike Gambino, who's a consultant to the village, I think on certain things, is a master expert. He handled that program, I think, for Miami Springs. But the thing, and I've talked to past managers, Jason and others, about this a lot, but the thing for El Portal is, in the first place, on the LMS, just getting into compliance with the LMS has been a big deal. And, you know, we're doing a really good job of that. But as in the past, I've gone over the points, the things we could afford to do, and most particularly the things that wouldn't be a huge extra bureaucratic load on our, you know, very overstressed and worked village government, would not get us high enough in the points to make a huge difference. In other words, I think it really, I mean, you can investigate more, and maybe they've smoothed the reporting and bureaucracy tremendously, but I know for many small communities in the past that I've known about, the burden of adding this on has been, you know, a great burden, and it's worth it for communities where the so many people are involved and so many people are going to be helped. And it also is much more beneficial for big municipalities because they're much more likely to get funding to put in big infrastructure projects that are going to push you higher on the points. So that's kind of my position, and that's why I've never bugged our current village manager about this, because it just seems like it wouldn't be worth it in my opinion. But of course, Mr. Prieto, you know much better what the current situation is with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I can tell you by using the example of I was the building official and floodplain manager for the town of Surfside for 7.5 years. And I can tell you the example there, the entire municipality is in a special flood hazard area. So it just has a tiny strip up on Collins that is in an X zone. Everything west of Collins is in a special flood hazard area. And for an investment of around, you know, $12,000 to $15,000, one year we went as high as $18,000. We were able to eventually get to $365,000 of savings, you know, on like $2 million worth of policies. But that's, you know, that's $2 million worth of policies. And here you have, let's see, 65,000. So for roughly $15,000, we're getting $365,000. But now there's 1,200 homes, there's 6,500 residents in an area that's very low lying. So the premiums were, the flood insurance there was really through the roof. And previously, maybe when I got there in 2013, they had just then finished the water and sewer project. So they put in brand new water and sewer, and they were like 90% done with their stormwater system. So this was something that was envisioned by that town many years before, that they needed to move in that direction. These were very old systems that needed to be updated. So it was sort of like the time was right to get into this program, because so much investment had gone into the community and their infrastructure that this was just a logical next step.
Do you know, Mr. Prieto, do you know how many homes in El Portal are in the not X zone, that are in the higher risk zone? Because I know this premiums, as you mentioned, are significantly higher if you're in that zone.
Well, I can tell you that I don't know the exact number that are in the special flood hazard area, because there's only 111 policies. I haven't counted I would have to go on the flood zone map and actually make the count. So these 111 policies are obviously based on these houses have some type of financial instrument that is requiring this protection of the asset. You know, any home that is not being financed in any way, you know, they can forego all the insurances. That doesn't mean that they're out of danger in any way. You know, they're still susceptible to flood if they're in a flood zone. I can certainly try to find that number for you and tell you how many houses are in the special flood hazard area. There's really not that many.
We can probably check, Elizabeth, just on the elevation map, right, that Hugh has. I can tell you that on 86, on the block of Northwest 86 that I had my house on, there were two of those houses were not carrying insurance, and everybody else was. So, you know, I think but I think 100, over 100, it seems pretty representative of, you know,
Mostly the high
just,
risk.
yeah, knowing the number of houses that are on those blocks along the river.
Sure. Thanks.
If I could just jump in, I could give you
Go ahead.
the map of location of those houses. You know, and I'm sure some of them don't have mortgages, which means they don't have to get the flood insurance. Although if you are in a flood zone and you don't get flood insurance, you're opening yourself up for a huge liability. So, you know, but I can get you those maps.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yes.
Ross, I have a question for you. I
Sure.
know FEMA is coming out with the revised maps, right? The flood maps.
Yes.
Is there a big shift in that you know of from like X zone to a flood hazard area?
You know, I have to tell you that some areas are experiencing a large shift in their special flood hazard area boundaries. We're talking about you know, there are some areas, and I know just out of personal experience, some areas in Broward, you know, the between an X zone and a special flood hazard has moved, you know, 2 blocks. So people that were, you know, the 2 blocks of those residents that were in an X zone are now in an AE, whatever the number might be, 10 or 12, whatever it is for that area. So, you know, that made a lot of people unhappy, but, you know, the remapping is just a reality. I don't have the remap for Dade County yet. There are some areas that are still under dispute, and, you know, this cycle goes on and on. So we're using the present flood maps that we have now, but the remapping is always going to create this flux. You know, those lines are going to move up and back, and there's really nothing we can do about it.
Thank you.
I have the digital flood map here, but you know, I will get back to you and let you know the house count that's in that special flood hazard area.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions, comments? No, from Kristen.
I just want to say thank them for coming on today. I'm going to, you know, I know the village manager wants to end it off. Thank you guys for coming on today. I wrote down a lot of information that I'm going to be looking over and form my own personal opinion. But thank you for coming on today. And just for the record, Chief Magnuson came on a while ago, so he's been with us. Madam Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Nickerson. Yes, I just want to wrap this portion up to just say that, you know, the whole floodplain management was quite a daunting task to get compliant with about 2 years ago, but we got through it. This is just the next step. I understand a lot of these things we're already doing, or we will be doing, as we, you know, develop our storm water plans, as well as our septic to sewer initiatives that are coming down the pike. So if those are things that are measured in this, and they help those residents with the flood insurance, I'm all for doing it. I have spoken with our building official, who is our floodplain manager, and he says that extra reporting would not be too much for him. So I said, well, then why not? Let's see what we can do in terms of just getting the message out. If that's all we have to do, then that seems like an easy way to get some discounts for our residents who do have this insurance. So we'll get more information to the task force about the numbers and about what the actual measures would be per point. I think that would also make things a little easier for you to quantify it, and we'll just move from there. But we'll keep you informed.
I just want to say, Madam Chair, if I may, I just want to give a special thanks to the village manager, because like we're moving on so many different things and just being active and just trying to tackle so many different areas and bring things for the community. So, this is just another thing. We're just trying to chip away. Me and Christy talk about all the time. Just trying to chip away, Christy, and just stabilize, get to that point where, our village is stable, and then we can start to really work on the stuff of the big ideas that, we have in mind, to push forward, but just trying to chip away and just stabilize and bring good things to the community. So thank you, Christia, for this.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Jean, Mr. Prieto, and Village Manager, of course, for bringing this to us. I know I'm sure we have a lot to think about, and we really appreciate you explaining it to us and answering all our questions. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to hang out just a little bit longer and listen, but I'm going to tip out when I've got to go meet with someone else shortly. So I'll listen on a little bit longer if you don't mind.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jean and Mr. Prieto. Bye.
Okay. Does the task force want to discuss this action item further before we move on to the main agenda?
I appreciate the village manager's kind of approach. Hey, let's dip our toe in, see how much effort it is. If it's not much effort to save overall our residents $6,500 or $3,250, let's do it. But if it's going to end up cost us thousands, that's just not, I don't think, good use of our money as a village or our time. But if it's $50 for a couple more printouts, great, let's do it, kind of thing. So I appreciate her looking into more details.
Yeah, I agree. If there's some easy measures, maybe we can get up to 10% or 15% with a very minimal resource expenditure, on the village's part. I say, why not? I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this, Madam Manager, but I think the point system and what you have to do to get what points is really important to kind of make that determination.
Right, absolutely. And again, I went with what our building official kind of recommended in terms of the reporting that's already being done. And again, if we're already, we have some things in the pipeline, coming this way anyway, and maybe it's not time right now, but it will be time as those things develop. So just keep it on the radar, and it's good to, have a building official who's proactive and wants to, give us an opportunity.
Absolutely. Would you mind sharing? I don't know if they sent those documents to you that shows the point system, and if you wouldn't mind sharing that with the task force, that'd be great.
Let me grab that now, because I'd like to share it with you.
Great.
We can read that. Are they simple, or is it a long?
You can email it to us, you guys.
I'll email it to you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant, Madam Manager. Apologies.
Right. Let me pull I'll get that, email it to you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Maybe this is worth after we have a chance to review the point system, there may be some opportunity that we were already doing with some other task force initiative that can be incorporated in. So it might be a good idea for us to all just take a look at and see if there's an easy opportunity for 5% savings.
Right. Okay.
Does anyone else have comments, questions on this? No? Okay, great. Mayor Nickerson, can we preemptively add that item to the next agenda? Hopefully it'll just be something quick, but just in case anyone has any questions or wants to comment once we take a look at the documents. Perfect, thank you. All right, great. Moving on to agenda item H1, which is Miami-Dade County Adaptation Action Area Planning and Community Meeting.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, we have, I believe, Good and Welfare.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, you're good. You're good, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I do have a Good and Welfare. I have a quick PSA, Madam Chair, if I may.
Of course.
Just a really quick PSA, you guys. I just want to just continue to remind you guys that that when, you know, if anybody sends you an email, just don't hit reply all. If I send you an email, you know, just get in the habit of just replying to just me, right? You know, you hit that reply arrow, usually for one person it's like one arrow, and then for multiple people it's like 2 or 3 arrows. Just get in the habit of trying to hit that, you know, that single reply button. So we don't reply all, even if, for example, Mr. Gladwin, if Mr. Gladwin sends us stuff, he sends us stuff all the time. This could be something, the stuff that he sends us could be something we could vote on in the future when it comes to flooding and things like that. So just remember to hit the single reply button, you guys, and just not reply all. That's all. Quick PSA for good and welfare. Thank you, Madam Chair. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Nickerson. Any other good and welfare from the community? I think we have Chief Magnuson on. Welcome, Chief. Mr. Gladwin and the manager, do any of you have anything for good and welfare? No? Okay, great. We'll jump into now H1, the Adaptation Action Area Plan. And I believe, Mayor Nickerson, correct me if I'm wrong, is this from my update from our call? Or did you want to kick this one off?
For you, for me, I mean, we did have the sewer, that lunchtime meeting we had that, I believe, Madam Chair, that was last Wednesday. Last Wednesday we had the sewer around the Little River. So I don't know if you want to give an update on that for those who might not have been there, and just in general, what's coming up. I know we have meetings coming up, a few more adaptation area meetings coming up. So just a touch on it.
I can give an update on the meeting that we had that the village manager, Mayor Nickerson, and I had with the county, if that's helpful for everyone. Before I do that, Mr. Gladwin, did you want to interject before I do the update, or is it related to the update? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I just, when we get to the agenda, says speaker topics at the next meeting, which is on greenways and blueways. I have something about that, but I very much before would like to hear about your meeting that you had with the county, with the mayor. Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, so as I mentioned, the 3 of us had a meeting with the county last week, towards the end of the week. And the county just wanted to go over the community meetings that we've had related to the adaptation action area that I know many of you were on and we discussed previously. And they wanted to discuss our thoughts as a village and our feedback on their tentatively planned adaptation action area. And so we talked about this last meeting. I kind of wanted to address some of the points in the outline that Hugh and I had put together with them. And I can share that they, probably about an hour ago, they shared their slides with us from that meeting. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. All right, can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's a 20 slides panel, but these are the ones that I wanted to specifically point out to everybody because it's they put together all of the thoughts that they heard from the community in these various community forums and the challenges that we face. So if everyone just wants to kind of read this slowly. I thought it was fairly representative of the topics that we had discussed within the task force, as well as the information that I heard during the community meetings. But they essentially, I'll give you all a second to read this. So they condensed this into a graphic here with the 4 main issues being failed septics, flooded streets, and drainage. So I think on a high level, perspective, those really are our issues. And then they broke it down into opportunities and solutions. And so I'll give you guys all a second to read what they believe are the best opportunities and solutions for the problems in the previous slide.
Nice to see us called out specifically for septic to sewer. That's cool.
Are they seriously considering that long-term home buyouts?
Yes, I think so, from what I've heard.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, they were, and I think they're mostly referring to the existing program that FEMA offers with repetitive losses. But yeah, that they're definitely considering that, raising homes, all those things. So in addition to, I'm going to pull up my agenda here. I know I'm sharing my screen, but no, let me find it. There we go. So this is our agenda for today, but we went over all of those things, and then we also mentioned to them our kind of two priorities that you and I had discussed, and we went over all of us, which was keep water out of the system from upstream, and they seem to grasp that, at least in theory, and then get the water out once it's already in. And apologies, these are just my notes that I had prepared as I was preparing for this meeting, but now that I'm sharing screen anyways, you might as well see it. But we talked to them here as well about the unique geography of El Portal, with water going into the river, ending up coming up from the ground into El Portal. And then we, in addition to these points here about the opportunities and solutions, I mentioned the seepage wall to them, and that was an issue that they had not previously thought about. And not surprisingly, Hugh, their first response was, well, whatever keeps water from coming in also keeps water from going out. And they said that I shared with them, your conclusion that if we were able to keep water from the river from coming into the village, the amount of rainwater the village itself receives we could manage that sufficiently, even with a seepage barrier. And they thought that was interesting, and said that they would circle back with their hydrologists to see whether that was a viable solution, because it was not something that they had previously considered.
Excellent.
And then what was the other thing? I mentioned permeable roads. That was something they hadn't really included in the solutions here, as you can see, and something that they took notes on. And then the last thing was the raising of the roads. That it seems to me kind of, at least from my personal experience, and I'd love to hear everybody else's experience as well, the road in front of my home is already higher than my property line. So the road doesn't flood. Instead, my home and my crawl space and my garage floods. So the idea of raising the road further doesn't seem, I would rather have the road flooded than my garage flooded. And so it was interesting to see this, and I discussed that with them. And Jim Murley, who is the Chief Resilience Officer, said that I think that their intention with raising roads was to not have that be a uniform solution, but in the areas where it made sense to raise roads, they would raise roads. And the areas where it didn't make sense, like, for example, the situation I just described in my home, they would not be doing that, and would consider some of the previous solutions that they had proposed, which was to store more water on the roads. Those were the three kind of big points that I interjected in response to their solutions and opportunities. And I expressed to them our interest in submitting that comment letter to them. I have unfortunately had a very busy 2 weeks at work and have not had an opportunity to finish drafting that. But I will have that drafted for our next meeting. And I can incorporate, our call was just a couple of days ago with them, so I can incorporate our discussions with them into that letter. And of course, send to you all for your approval prior to it being sent to anybody else. But those were kind of my updates. The village manager and Mayor Nickerson were also on and had made some great points and responded to some questions. So I'll turn it over to you guys to add on to that from your experience and perspectives.
I didn't know if the manager wanted.
Okay, well, I was just going to quickly say it pretty much encompassed everything that Chairperson Carpenter stated here. We have been also invited to present at it's called Resiliency and Green Space, Parks and Green Space Resiliency webinar on next week, where we will talk about some of the projects that we have. Actually, we have the Parks project online now, that we're working on now, and I'm actually presenting that tomorrow to the South Florida Parks Coalition. So, we appreciate your support and any input you have on this, but we're being looked at very, very closely. And I think through the leadership of Chair Carpenter and our mayor, we have really, pushed forward through to get a lot of recognition in the county. And hopefully we'll be serving as a model for a lot of other municipalities who are trying to do what we're doing. So I appreciate all the efforts you all have made. And I mean, it's really gotten us a lot. I mean, we have a great reputation and people are watching us. So that's fantastic.
No, it's really good, and you know, the leadership of Chairperson Carpenter and also the manager, Manager Lou is very essential. I just wanted to really jump into really quickly. Member Kirk, you know, he pointed something out, and if you guys remember when they first started to do these adaptation action area meetings, when they talk about those five choices for the long-term solutions, that's part of that, the expand greenways and blueways. And I think that at a previous meeting, I spoke about how when I heard it, I was like, wow, it's a you know, amazing but crazy concept to me, in a way, because they were actually talking about taking, you know, all the homes on the area that gets flooded out and make those ways, you know, blueways and greenways. You know, bring in, you know, kayaking and sporting and things like that, and kind of just expand it to become that part of the village, and kind of, you know, moving the border of the village in more inland. And so that's one of the five ways. Remember, they had to build like the keys, which was they were going to, you know, raise the house, like build like the keys so that the water goes up underneath, like when you go to the keys. The other one that I did not agree with was built on field, because field would mean that, you know, some houses that are built on field, then the water will run down into your neighbor's home. To build on high ground around transit was just something that we were like, it's not really for us, because we don't have those type of transit hubs in the middle of our village the way that you know, other bigger cities have. And then to create the green neighborhoods and blue neighborhoods, and then to ultimately what Member Kirk was you know, saw on that was expand greenways and blueways, which is something that scared me from the first meeting, from the moment I heard it. Madam Chair.
Thank you guys. Mr. Gladwin, go ahead.
Yeah, first I had a question for the village manager. Is the meeting you're talking about the area action meeting next week on Wednesday about greenways and blueways you said you'd be speaking at?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I wanted to say about what we're going to present there. I don't know, is this an appropriate time, Madam Chair, to do that? Or
let's just wrap up this action item first, because that is our next action item. So if you don't mind, Mr. Gladwin.
No problem.
Perfect. Does anyone have any other questions on this? As I mentioned, I'm going to draft that comment letter and have that all to you before our meeting next week. But
Madam Chair, before we I just want to say really quickly, just to kind of touch on it for a second. You know, we are going to move in and talk about the next meeting, which is the greenways and blueways. For those who were able to be at the Septic to Sewer community meeting that happened from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Last Wednesday. Thank you for being there. For those who weren't, it was an interesting meeting. It was about Septic to Sewer. A couple of things that kind of popped out was the talk about the legal requirement. You guys, they had that, and that came in 3 different ways. You know, once we get to that point, new construction within a feasible distance is one way that you would have to legally connect to the sewage right away. 90-day connection is the 90-day connection is something that when we get to that point that they were going to kind of hold everybody up under, but you can't get an extension. And then the other way, the third way that you would have to legally be required to pretty much immediately connect to the sewage system would be if the health department comes in and they require you to connect to the sewer right away because of septic system failure or any type of like health problems with the septic system. And so they talk about that. They talk about different things when it comes to finances and stuff like that. You know, general obligation bonds and things like that, which there's new things that we're coming up with, myself, the manager, the attorney Geller. We had a long meeting yesterday. The manager was on for I think the first hour, and then it went on for like another 3 hours. After that, so we got like a 4-hour meeting yesterday about subject to sewer, and we got some new ideas. We're meeting with County Commissioner Hardeman on Monday, and we have some new ideas as far as the county and the county being more willing to to maybe give a lot more, because they're going to get their money back, and it's going to affect them in a major way. But there's a lot of things that came out of that meeting last Wednesday, and just want to give that quick update, you guys, for that.
Hey, Omar, this seems like a much accelerated requirement from when we first started talking about septic to sewer. I seem to remember it was 4 years when we first started talking to septic to sewer, and now it's how long? What's the requirement?
So this is coming from this is not coming from El Portal and what we're doing. Yeah, this is coming from the county that county AAA meeting from last Wednesday.
Yeah, because when we were originally talking about septic to sewer, we did those initial community meetings. There was talk about a 4-year, requirement, and possibly subsidizing for residents under a certain, median household income to be able to afford it. So this sounds like, not surprisingly, but it does sound like
the whole risk-based approach.
Yeah.
Right, to where they're trying to speed things up. Because they feel like we're just really running out of time, and so this is part of that whole risk-based approach package for civic sewer.
This is probably really obvious, but I just want to put it in the record. It's going to be very important to communicate extremely clearly to the residents around this, because right now there are some residents who are completely oblivious that this has even been in process for years now. So I do think that that the village and that we need to plan the communication. If we reach a point where we're ready to kind of where the rubber meets the road, that the communication process needs to be as well planned as the construction process, because otherwise it's going to I can see it creating a huge problem optically and also just practically for people just getting really pissed off about it. So
absolutely, but there's things that myself, the manager, and Attorney Geller are working on as far as helping out in a major way. I don't want to say 100% yet, but helping out in a major way with helping the residents hook up their sewage at the low, if not no cost to the residents.
I think that's awesome. I think that will go a long way. My concern was just that.
And like I said, there's stuff going on with Panoni right now, and so I just can't really kind of put it out there yet publicly. But there's a lot of things. That we're working on. We're working hard and nonstop in a lot of hours, but there's a lot of things that I think the community is going to be really happy about once all this stuff, as we chip away, myself, the manager, attorney, as we chip away and stabilize, and there's a lot of stuff that you guys are going to really love once all this stuff kind of starts to even out. So I appreciate it, but you're absolutely right, Member McLean, and we'll definitely do that. But I think we're going to get to a point where you guys will be really happy. Madam Chair, I would just like to say, going into it before we end this, I sent you guys an email earlier that we just got, myself, the manager, and I think myself, the manager, and Vice Mayor Urban were on the initial email about a stormwater management webinar that's happening this upcoming Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I sent you guys an email on that. We just found out about that. I think you guys even saw in the email that the manager said that, help the manager asked them to keep us in the loop from now on, because we didn't get that information. And as we move on to the next agenda item, just to end this off, we do have that the next AAA meeting is next Wednesday. If you have not registered, if you're available from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., because they said they were going to extend it an extra half an hour, I believe. 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. next Wednesday. That's greenways and blueways. Member Kirk, that would be going over the whole thing with getting rid of houses and stuff like that to expand blueways. That's going to be in that meeting. That's next Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. And then we have March 10th, which is also Wednesday, March 10th. That's the whole thing with that Mr. Gladwin brought up in a previous meeting about redlining, historic segregation and stuff like that. That's that AAA meeting. Me and Mr. Gladwin have been having conversations about that offline. And then I believe the last one that I have down that I'm registered for, which I believe is their last one that they have right now, is the evaluating homes. And that's the adaptation for the Little River area, evaluating homes. And that takes place March 26th, which is a Friday, March 26th. And that is evaluating homes. And that's all I have as far as upcoming meetings. Madam Chair, the floor is yours. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. I just wanted to thank the whole task force and Mr. Gladwin for all the really great and thoughtful suggestions that you all provided that we were able to take to the meeting with the county. That was a real conglomerate of everybody's ideas. So I just really appreciate the task force work and Mr. Gladwin's work. So thank you all.
Madam Chair, really quickly, I know that, I don't know if the village manager wants to mention it. I know that we have a town hall this upcoming Saturday, Madam Manager. It's about solid waste town hall. So if anybody has any questions about, because we have a new waste management company. Anybody has any questions, problems, any questions for them about, bulk pickup, about garbage pickup, about any of that type of stuff. There's a town hall. Madam Manager, your town hall starts on Saturday. We put it on Saturday so that everybody, wouldn't be at work. What do we say? Was it 10 or 11 in the morning? We're going to start it.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's only for about an hour. It'll be a Zoom meeting, and we are recording it in case you can't make it. You can always look at it again. But we, with the new provider, we want to make sure everybody's, in step with each other, and also give this new provider some insights on the village, because we've had the same solid waste contractor for 15 years, so he knew the village in a different way. But the Coastal is very amenable to assisting us, but I want them to hear from the village residents as much as possible. So they provided a little flyer that they'll be circulating door to door. You won't have to even come pick it up, but we're going to put on the website. We'll go to door about do's and don'ts of solid waste and bulk. Also, where to go if you've got some hazardous materials or things that they don't pick up. This is where you can go to take it, and those types of things. Just helpful information. So if you can make it Saturday, 10 a.m., please do.
I just want to enter into the record that Russell wanted to let you guys know how much he misses the green trash can. It's like he's really sad about the green trash can. So those are like very successful. Just want everyone to.
Okay.
Village manager.
Yet was it emailed to the residents yet, or as an announcement for Zoom?
Yeah, well, I don't think that our clerk has access to her email blasts anymore. So I've asked her, she's been trying, we've been having some tech problems, but I'm hopeful that she'll try to get it out before Friday. So
I'll help you out, Madam Manager. You send me the stuff.
I did. I emailed.
Okay, we'll get it at least on the website, because I don't have the email. I remember Mayor Cabillos used to have her own email list, but I don't. Yeah, so I'm not.
Well, it is on the village website. The event has been up for about 2 weeks now, and this bulk pickup do's and don'ts flyer is going to be on the website today as well. But we'll distribute these, and also the schedule is on the website. But yeah, as we try to iron out some tech issues, we would continue to do e-blast. We just haven't gotten there yet, but we'll work.
We need a communication platform. That's what we need.
Well, we do. I would like to, do it.
Well, I have to take it through committee first, people.
Yeah, well, we can talk.
You have to go through the protocol. The right protocol is been passed through. So, let's get going so we can continue this.
Village manager, really quickly before you leave, the recycling, is that a different contractor than the bulk waste, or is that the same discussion?
No, actually, what's interesting is it's the same contractor. Coastal's always been our recycling contractor, but it's through the county. We have the county provides recycling through Coastal, but now we've got the same people doing bulk and solid waste and the recycling.
Okay, gotcha. And will that be addressed at the town hall on Saturday as well?
If you ask that question, yes, she's open to asking answering anything.
I don't think I can make the town hall on Saturday, but if I were taking off my task force hat, I would want like maybe a more frequent recycling schedule, because I know I've never not filled up my recycling can and like run out of space with it every other week. So I'm not sure if other people have that struggle as well.
Just a suggestion, you can get a larger bin. That's what we did a while ago. We asked for the larger bin, and that has really helped.
That's great.
I was going to say, I remember the street from Courtney, I got the larger bin also. So you can either get a larger bin, and also there's an option of the second bin also.
Okay, maybe that's something that could be communicated to residents as well, because I would guess I'm not the only one, who has that same issue. I know we always have another pile in the garage of recycling.
But I do echo, Madam Chair, I do echo your point. I would love to see less trash pickup and more recycling pickup. So maybe they could both go once a week. That would be Courtney's dream world, where we could get rid of recycling and trash the same day, not always seem to have some sort of trash cans out. I know that's just my thing. I'm sure other people disagree, but that's my 2 cents.
Well, I do want to just say this too. I mean, that's not our contract. That's the county, the recycling contract. So the frequency and all of that, I don't know that we have a say so at this point, but I can ask and maybe we can talk about that. Maybe there is an option through the county contract, but it's a county contract. It's not the village's.
Okay. Yeah, if there's an option that, along the lines of what Member Kirk just said, I know I would be interested in that too. I know I can't really, this is not that meeting, so I apologize for commenting on it now. I can't make the meeting on Saturday, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I'm not alone in the recycling issue. So maybe somebody else will mention that on Saturday as well, but.
Well, and I'll take it back as well. You can always tell me or email me a question. I'll get the answer for you too. So that's fine. I'll put that's on my list. So I'll raise it.
Do you want to see the marquee, the town hall, maybe on the beautiful blue painted marquee? I noticed you changed the color.
It's on the marquee. It's already there. It went up this morning.
It's real. I like the color so much better.
Thank you. We're trying to brand in a way that we've been really good with getting some.
I love it. It's fresh. Our signs are blue. The marquee is blue. The logo is blue. It's brand. Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
I like blue.
Peacocks are blue.
Huh?
Peacocks are blue.
It's funny because the manager and myself, whenever we talk about doing stuff, sometimes you guys like just these big projects that we're trying to fix, it can get frustrating. And so me and the manager would just turn to us and be like, Christia, what is any small thing that we can do just to see something? We need to just see something, Christia. Christia would be like,
true.
You're right. Let's paint the marquee.
I'm like, Christia, I feel like we're in Christia. We gotta start fixing something, Christia. Let's start working. Let's start doing something. So,
guys, I gotta jump in here. There is something. I mean, you're talking about communication, but the new village webpage is so incredibly fast. I mean, I just have it bookmarked and I go online, I click the bookmark, the whole page comes up in about 15 seconds. Boom, everything's there. I mean, there's no excuse anymore for me not to check the village webpage every single time I go online. So that's a major thing, and it's wonderful, you guys.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're crossing things off the list. We're getting it done. And
chipping away at the tree, you guys. Every little notch just is gonna make a difference. I'm telling y'all, just give us some time now. Just give us some time.
I don't know if that's the right metaphor for the task force.
Well, thank you all for having me. I'm going to jump off.
Building blocks. Every little height we get, building blocks, you guys. Every little step makes it. All right.
So much, time manager.
Thank you for having me. Okay, see you later. Bye now.
All right. I think we've exhausted H1. Does anyone have any objections to moving to H2? All right, great. So H2, we kind of already hit. It's the El Portal representative to speak at the next AAA Community Forum. And Mayor Nickerson, I know you mentioned, so you said the next forum is February 24th about the green spaces. I think that's about, resilient parks and green spaces. Is that, are we talking about the same meeting for next Wednesday? Mayor Nickerson? Are we talking about the next,
My bad, I was muted.
parks?
I was muted. Yeah.
Okay, you were. Oh, we couldn't get the mask.
My bad. I didn't know I was muted. From 12 to 1:30 p.m.
Yes, that's the event that the county has requested. We have a representative at. That's right?
That is the one. Yes, next Wednesday. And so I put that there, Madam Chair. You know, because you were on the last meeting also, so you know that they asked yourself, me, and the manager. You know, if anybody wanted to do a presentation for that we could. I wanted to put that out there just to say that for the Resiliency Task Force, if anybody, you know, from seeing that has any ideas of anything in particular they want us to ask about, you know, they can let us know or anything like that. The same way you just did with the village manager about the waste management town hall, you know, that you can't attend. You gave her questions that you know that you have on your mind. If anybody has any questions that they would like us to ask, you guys can let us know.
Mayor Nickerson, does it make sense to appoint, are you and or the village manager going to be attending that to field park questions?
I'll be attending it. I know the village manager will be attending it also. Me and her having spoken, and we haven't spoke to you to see like who exactly was going to be the speaker. But what I told her was that we can just do it because remember, if you remember, Madam Chair, at the meeting, they said that we don't have to have a slideshow or anything like that. So, you know, any of us could speak. All three of us can contribute if we want to.
Just a reminder, yeah, Mr. Gladwin wanted to talk about this one.
Oh, thank you, Member Kirk. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so we're talking about the Greenways and Blueways meeting?
I believe so. They titled it Resilient Parks and Green Spaces.
Yeah, there were two when I registered. It was greenways and blueways, and then when I looked closer, they had like a different like a description that the Chair Carpenter just said. So I believe it's the same thing.
Okay, great.
Okay, the thing is that is an incredibly important meeting for us, and you know I think you referred to that earlier, Mayor, because it directly raises the fundamental question that Mr. Kirk has been raising about, you know, what's the future of our community and what do we want to be? But the thing is, you know, that question, I mean, that's something that the village has been working on for 20 years, but very specifically, the last charrette was tremendously focused on that. And, you know, the problem is we have 5 minutes. If all we do is, you know, if all we do is give a report on what parks we have, we're going to blow that 5 minutes and listen to a lot of people talk about plans that are important to the city of Miami and the county that are not connected to the well-being of El Pretel at all. And the main thing is that a huge consideration for years and years, and particularly in the last task force, is the fact that the trailer park property is sort of the natural connection through to green space on the land next to the little river that would go to the 79th Street transit station, or maybe the transit station will be slightly different. And the big issue there is that, there are a lot of issues. One issue is this is critically important to us because the trailer park is critically important to us and the financial future and the idea of the nature of the village. So this issue of what happens there has an enormous impact on us. On the city of Miami, it has virtually no impact. and they really have not been willing to address it at all. You know, so we're sitting here in this little area action plan, dealing with a topic with our neighbors, which in that area are the county unincorporated Dade and the city of Miami. And we have to make our case. And the most scary thing about it is that 1/3 of the trailer park is an extremely low flood zone. You know, and at this point, the only control we have for it is our comprehensive plan and the, you know, which a lot of measures came through from the charrette, but I don't believe the comp plan for that area addresses the fact that 1/3 of that property or more is going to become in our extreme high hazard flood zone area. And my fear is that the city of Miami and the county is just going to railroad over and create a solution that leaves us completely holding the bag for that area. I mean, we've always talked about that area would be, you know, back when we thought we'd have a lot of control, that 1/3 would be parkland connected to a corridor where people could, you know, go to the El Pertel Village Hall, walk across the street, take a shuttle to the train station. And then secondly, that it would be a blue space. It would be a wetland type thing, you know, where we'd have a nature park where we wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't allow development. You know, well, what landowner who has that property is going to agree to sacrifice 1/3 of their property for this type of use if the city of Miami and the county is not willing to consider greenway and blueway plans that we could connect to? So I think somehow we have to at least state that in our 5 minutes. You know, because otherwise it kind of goes into the record and everybody says, oh, great, you know, El Pertel is totally in favor of this, you know, and we proceed in our own way. Now maybe
feels really binary, right? It feels like we can either put forward a vision that is about connecting those spaces and is about more of an environmental blue-green solution for our end of the river. I mean, it feels to me, it really does feel to me like one of those moments where we either can lay out and articulate a plan that, to Hugh's point, where we can institutionalize our commitment to blue-green and improve the quality of the village and create this Emerald Necklace Park strategy along the river, or the door gets shut on us and we're railroaded down all the things that we're afraid of, right? Like seawalls and
Kristen, do you remember that meeting 2 or 3 years ago where we went, you know, it wasn't too long after the charrette, well, it was long after the charrette, but you and I were there and the meeting wasn't really about, you know, about this topic, but Murley saw us and he brought everybody over to talk to us.
Oh yeah, well that was with the kickoff for King Tide. That was
down
at
King
we were
Tide.
in Virginia for King Tide measurement 2 years ago.
So we kind of laid out this idea in the charrettes, and he said basically, and he said that informally ever since, to you guys in the Little River Conservancy, for God's sake, lay out your plans, make drawings, say what you want this to look like. You know, and the problem is, you know, we have a wonderful planning department, but their job and why we pay them is for planning within the current area of El Pertel. You know, when we did the last charrette, the reason why the county paid for the whole thing, they did in the end pay for the entire thing, and it was a big, big bill, was because they saw that area and saw El Pertel so critical, you know, in what they consider to be the development of the high ground corridor that's going to be so crucial, enabling the whole area to go into the next stage of sea level rise, in a prosperous and good way. So, I don't know, maybe we should just blow this meeting off and consider it as a separate thing, but it is a very huge deal.
I see them as all related, Hugh, right? So
Yeah.
Courtney's raising the point about the buyback program and the blue greenways, the potential mayor down the road that certain houses along the river are going to have to, or they're either going to be raised and rebuilt, to your point about Phil, or they're going to be bought out so that we can create a blue-green solution along the river. But I see the Miami-Dade property in Larchmont as part of that. I see Arb Riverbank as part of that. I see the trailer park, Little Farm, as part of that. I see the area with Pelican Harbor and the Midpoint Plaza as part of that. Like, they could all be part of a plan.
Vista is absolutely part of that.
Yeah. So, and I think it's a much larger conversation. Like, we could talk for hours about that within the context of this committee. But I think the point that he was laying down that I think is really important is that we have to start putting some, I think would be our next thing that we might want to talk about is this idea of this vision around these types of issues. Because if we don't start putting our flags in the ground for that, it's related to our ability to, hold our own against other solutions like higher seawalls and dredging and, solid riverbanks and all of that stuff that we don't really want to see.
Madam Chair, if I may. Thank you. No, first of all, let me just say to Kristen and to Hugh, you guys are absolutely correct, and I really appreciate what you guys are saying. As far as the meeting on Wednesday, so they're giving us time to speak as far as like it was casual, right? So we were on the meeting, myself, the chairperson, and the manager, and they were like, "Hey, we're having the next meeting is," and they say, "Hey, you guys want some time on that meeting to speak?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, like why would we turn down time to speak, right?" So my suggestion is either, because Hugh, you just did a wonderful job. So my suggestion is either, Hugh, if you're going to be there, you can say the exact same thing you just said today because you were hitting on greenways and blueways and what the meeting's going to be about. If you're going to be, you can be there next Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. You can take that time because it wasn't that, oh, Mayor, you're going to do a speech at this, webinar, or Chairperson Carpenter, you're going to, they just casually said, they were like, hey, at the next meeting, do you guys from El Portal, do you guys want some time to speak? And we were like, yeah, of course, like, why we turn that down? So Hugh, if you're going to be there, you can say the exact same thing you just said. If you don't feel comfortable, and I think that would be great because they know you, you know them, they're comfortable with you, they're used to you. If you, for some reason, don't feel comfortable doing that, you can email me the talking points of what you just said, and myself or the manager or Chairperson Carpenter or whoever else can say it. But I think because when you said it, it was straight, it was to the point, and I think that was perfect. And it was in like 5-6 minutes when you just said it. So I think that would be perfect if you could do that because it's just El Portal that has that time. It's not a particular person. So.
Yeah, I would be very comfortable doing it, and I will take a tip from Adam Old because he really nailed it on his presentation on water quality with the slides. So, but I would basically say what I'm saying and have 5 slides up for like 4 minutes. But I'd be very happy to do it. If the village manager is planning to give our parks report, if I'm going to do the section, then I could just, put a reference to it in one slide perhaps, and, just show a map of these are our parks that we have now.
We can have you to start. We'll have you to start. And if the village manager has anything that she wants to add, she can jump in right after you finish.
Okay, sounds good.
Madam Chair, ultimately it's up to you, Madam Chair. That's my suggestion.
I think that's a great suggestion, and I think we'd really appreciate that, Mr. Gladwin, because what you and Kristen were just discussing, I know I don't have any background on these plans, and you guys have the institutional knowledge. So I don't feel like I'm qualified to speak on that stuff. I'm just unaware of the development plan. So that would be great. On that same note, the county wants to do a prep call for next Wednesday's meeting this Friday between 11:30 and noon. But Mayor Nickerson, maybe you can enlighten me, but I didn't, isn't the village manager not available at that time? Had she proposed a different time?
Yeah, I believe the village manager is not available at that time. So we'll have to see what tomorrow's Thursday. I'm sure by tomorrow it will be all figured out.
Yeah, if you authorize me to be on that call and say that
Yes.
I'll be organizing our 5 minutes. That's all I think all it will take, and then I can work it out with them if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll include you in the emails, Hugh. I'll forward them to you.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking. Oh, the village manager is available between 1 and 2 p.m. on Friday for that prep call for the parks meeting. I don't know if that works with your schedule, Mr. Gladwin.
Yeah, I'm flexible.
Okay, great. So Mayor Nickerson, you'll circle Mr. Gladwin into that for the prep call. Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair, yes.
Great, and thank you so much, Mr. Gladwin, for volunteering to do that. That's very helpful.
No problem.
All right, anyone else have anything on this, on H2? No? Okay. Great, moving on to H3, Standard El Portal Resiliency presentation. I think I'll turn this over to Member McLean.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Let me just apologize in advance. My internet's been a little wonky today, so if I cut out, I apologize. Okay, so I just built up expanded on what we talked about last time, and so this is the most recent version. I'll enter this into the record for you, Mayor Nickerson, to circulate with the minutes today. And let me just say I've added graphics, and the thing I think that the next iteration of this, depending on how the village manager, the mayor, or Elizabeth, if you want to use it, like I think would be to plug in specifics or figure out sort of where we want to take it from here. But basically, so there's a page just about the village that hits the high points about who we are. The next slide is key stats. The one thing I didn't have to plug in here was the number of homes that are in the village. I figure somebody's probably got that information, but that's the one piece that's missing here. This just in a glance covers the population, the household income, the poverty level, the rate of home ownership, which I think is really important to the village for people that we're trying to talk to about the importance of some of these initiatives like septic to sewer. The elevation, the septic system, the zoning for business. I don't know, Mayor Nickerson, if you want to change that particular line to something that's a little bit more pointed, but basically trying to make the point that we don't have a large tax base coming from businesses in the village. Just here we are. I don't have everyone's pictures and I couldn't find people online. So I don't know, Omar, if you have pictures, but we can fill them in here. And then we just go into those slides that we talked about last time. So here's our unique advantage, and let me hide this so you can actually see what is being shown here. So I try to keep this very simple. And if we wanted to, what I would say is that if we want to go into more detail relative to some of the key takeaways from the adaptation action plan materials, or Elizabeth, more of what you're writing up, we can expand on this and add more detail, but basically really try to keep it to 3 bullet points on each of these slides. So that we're the perfect test case for resilience initiatives. We're a small community with representative challenges around resilience, that we're economically and demographically diverse without showing, without making too pointed a case for that, apropos of the politics in Tallahassee, and just that we do have a successful record on comprehensive planning. And we can actually even link in the notes to our form-based plan. And then the challenges that we face. And so, you know, here that we've got a small tax base to fund initiatives so that infrastructure projects are expensive for us without support from state and county agencies, that there's a lack of a unified watershed plan. So we're not operating under guidance for any of these initiatives, although I did point out in the notes that the recent appointment of the Miami-Dade Bay officer and the sustainability director at South Florida Water Management will probably change our outlook somewhat in terms of that challenge. And the third one is just trying to get across to people how many agencies and stakeholders are involved in any decision-making or resilience efforts around El Portal, specifically because of the river. And I actually have included a slide in the appendix just listing the municipalities, the agencies, and the NGOs that are all considered stakeholders in the river, and that all, you know, have a role to play in any decision-making that impacts this village. And then here is the priorities for resiliency based on Elizabeth's 3 points. And this is my language. This language could be changed and the specific bullets could be changed if we felt like there were stronger ways or more important things to say here. But basically just keeping water out in terms of catchment, environmentally friendly seawall solutions, and engaging with upstream stakeholders. Improving our drainage. So this is where we talk about LMS, blue-green bioswales, and support for homeowners and businesses in investing in these solutions. And then the third is just improving the water quality. So that's where septic to sewer is. That's where water quality monitoring falls. And that's, I think, where a lot of our partnerships that we're pursuing with municipalities and agencies sits. A thank you slide where whoever's presenting or using this can add their information. And then an appendix where we will list our LMS projects, you know, succinctly, or any other projects that we want to just show in terms of what we're working on. Here's the key stakeholders, just to underline that point about the number of municipalities, agencies, and NGOs that have something to say or have a decision-making stake in what's going on with our southern boundary. And then I think that's it. So, but we can add other slides to the appendix based on, you know, whether or not we want to add more detail. And we can also go back into and expand on any of these, the challenges, or the advantages, the challenges, and the vision slides. We can add detail slides between these three to help expand whatever it is that we're bringing out that day. So for instance, if we wanted to use this deck and he wanted to present his parks vision or his little farm vision, we could figure out how to fit that in within this structure. So I hope you guys can still hear me because I have no idea.
I can, and this was excellent, Kristen.
So the amount of work and the consistency of the slides, and it's
Yep.
really the amount of work. I wish you could be compensated. It's beautiful.
It really is. It looks great, Kristen.
Great.
I really think this gives the village and the task force a great background to start any presentation with. And if we're meeting with somebody for the second time, maybe we don't, you know, we delete the first couple of slides about us and focus more on that particular meeting. But this is, from a company perspective, this is our standard deck. And depending on who you're meeting with, you tweak it up. This is awesome, Kristen. Really like it.
Yeah, there is a template behind this that I have tweaked with our logo and our contact information. So there's plenty. Anybody who needs to build on this has what they need in the background to do that. So there you have it.
It's incredible. It's really beautiful.
It really is. It's
I
fantastic.
just sent you my photo.
What?
I just sent you my photo.
Oh, good. Okay,
Oh.
we'll plug that in.
Just remember about sending things, Maribel.
No, it was a text.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's an issue.
Oh, that's
Well,
still-
fortunately, we're
still-
not going to be.
still an issue.
So nobody else send her your photo. I'll send her all the photos.
Sorry.
Send it to Omar, but fortunately, we're not going to be voting on the quality of Maribel's photo.
Of her picture.
No, we're not. But it's all good. But we do. I see Mr. Gladwin has his hand up, Madam Chair. But we do have to just vote this for you know, even though, you know, it's going to be an ongoing thing as far as we can add things to it and whatever. But we do have to vote it to accept it, because this will be something that not only the task force will be using, but El Portal will be using. So I do have to take it to the council. So.
Okay. Before you do that, I
Whenever
think,
we're done with discussion.
okay, great. The only like small thing that I would suggest adding is maybe emphasizing our connection to Biscayne Bay so that it's clear,
Yeah.
it elevates our importance, right? Like that we drain into Biscayne
Yeah,
Bay.
yeah, you're right. So, I think what you're talking about is I think we make another slide that relates to the Biscayne Bay Preserve, to make the case that we talked about just, although it's a small community, it actually
Big impact on
has a huge
impact.
Very impactful, yeah, especially
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, and that's the only change I would make. I think it looks great otherwise.
Madam Chair, can I suggest that we get a copy of this, if possible, and I don't know if this is allowed by Sunshine, if Kristen can make the change as requested, and we can get it as part of the agenda items for our review for next meeting. So we're all prepared, we can make our little itty bitty comments, and then we can have our motion to approve it and send it to the council. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sorry, Madam Chair. But I
That's
was
okay.
just gonna say thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, that's actually, you guys, how it really should be done. So, so the way it really should be done is, if you guys have something that you guys have worked on and completed, usually, you know, in a perfect world, this is a task force, so I don't really keep you guys like too stringent to like those rules. But what should happen is, you guys should have it completed before that Friday. Remember when I asked for all agenda items for that Friday evening? Like, everything should be completed prior to that Friday evening. And then when I send out the agenda on Saturday morning, that would be included in the agenda. That would be like a supporting document. That's how it really should go.
Yep. So I'm gonna send this version with this new draft slide that we're talking about in the context of the meeting to you for inclusion with the minutes. And then prior to the next meeting, I will make one more pass so that it can be circulated as a final version, going out of the next meeting. So for council approval.
Thank you.
That sounds great. And Mr. Gladwin, did you want to interject? Oh, you're muted. That sounds like a perfect.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is great. Just a couple of quick things. I think there are clearly some items in your comment letter to MDC that need to be included. I think you covered them, Chairman Carpenter, but maybe you could do that, or Kristen. The other thing is, I think on the history, this is just a repeat that somebody said that or you said, Elizabeth, I guess, the connection to Biscayne Bay, and also through the history, that is incredibly important, and the connection to the Everglades. So in the briefing notes page I did, there's one topic I have which sort of gives a overview of El Portal from the environmental history of the area. I think some of those things should be incorporated, and if it's okay with Kristen, maybe I'll give a stab at maybe doing another slide or incorporating them. Is that okay?
Yeah, so I'm going to enter, so I'm entering right now into the record this version where we're memorializing the fact that we're going to add one or two slides in this section where we just make the case for El Portal's relationship to the Bay. And I also agree to the Everglades, right?
I agree too.
That whole point about the transverse glades is directly related to our flooding problem. So we'll put a placeholder here for, I think it's probably gonna be two slides, one for the Everglades history, one for the Bay, and the Little River's impact on the Bay. And then Hugh, you can send me, put it in whatever format you want, send it to me, and I will work it into the stack in time to have a final draft for review on our next meeting.
Yeah. I mean, the
Kristen,
absolute, if I could just say
Go ahead,
quickly,
yeah, of course, go ahead.
absolutely important point, history and environmentally now, is that we are in a unique ecosystem that exists with virtually no nutrients. The Bay absolutely depends on that, as it always has. The Everglades absolutely depends on that, as it always has. You know, so the problem is the urban area. You know,
All right, well,
that's
what I
all
would propose to you is that you and I have a sidebar to just specifically go
Perfect.
over that, right?
Okay, sounds
Because
good.
Right, because you guys can talk.
Yeah, the science is really, really important. The challenge is taking the science and making it like
Yes,
hard hitting in a really concise way. So you and I, we can do that.
okay.
To add one more point on the, I agree the Everglades inclusion. The Village of El Portal is also in the study area for a CERT project for the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, right? Which is the biggest ecosystem restoration project in the world and the biggest one that the federal government has ever undertaken. And the fact that we fall within that study area for one of those projects also really it highlights how important we are to the Everglades system as well.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to share again because I want to put this in here and I want it to be in the record. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Elizabeth, say again, tell me again, what's the study area?
It's we fall within one of the project areas for the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. It's called CERP, CERP. So if you deal with Everglades restoration, you know, that's the acronym.
Yeah.
And it's the largest ecosystem restoration project that the federal government has ever undertaken. And it's the largest ecosystem restoration project in the world.
Okay.
And it was a huge focus of 10 years of my life. But I finally gave up that fight.
I can't imagine why.
Can I ask for a favor, Elizabeth? Can you send Mayor any background links or anything to that he can circulate to the group?
Yeah, I can send you the project that El Portal falls within, which I'm serving as the project delivery team member for, has this great little map where it you know, outlines the project area and it shows El Portal in it. So I think that'd be a nice little graphic to put in for that.
Great.
I will send you a link to the last huge meeting that was held regionally that tried to incorporate El Portal and everything in the urban area into the plan, because the plan unfortunately does not address urban processes at all.
I would just ask you to send everything through Omar.
Yeah, I will.
So just send it to Omar and Omar can
of course
circulate it. Okay. All right. Are we done? Can I close?
Looks great.
Love it. Nice job, Kristen, really.
All right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kristen. That looked great. I'm really excited to see that used for our work and village work. Okay, anything else on any other comments from the task force? Okay, moving on to H4, resiliency and environmental organizations. El Portal representative.
So, Madam Chair, I put this on. So this kind of like piggybacks on what we were just doing. Member McLean was just doing with the presentation. So just keep in mind, this is not something that, you know, we have to come up with right now or anything like that. I just wanted to like just put it out there. You guys kind of keep in mind that if there are any environmental organizations or resiliency organizations that, you know, that I should be attending meetings to and things like that, you guys can start to give me those lists so I can start attending those meetings so that El Portal is consistently seen and heard. Just any, you know, because I don't know those organizations, I don't know the names of them or which ones are worth attending or not attending and stuff. So if you guys just kind of like start thinking about that, you know, anybody, Madam Chair, Hugh, Kristen, you know, anybody who's real big in that.
I think the Bay Organizations meeting might be interesting for you. I know, Elizabeth, you guys are looped into that. That's run by the Waterkeepers, and it's more or less a kind of organizing an informational meeting where all of the groups involved in the Bay and also Arena.
What was that one called? What was that one called? I'm sorry.
It's the Bay Organizations meeting. I don't, the
I
name
said
keeps
something
changing.
different every time. Biscayne Bay
Yeah,
Health
but
Group.
it's, I will loop you in, Omar. So it's run by water, it recently switched administration from Ocean Conservancy to Waterkeepers. So Waterkeepers is really the point of the spear right now. But Irela, the new Bay officer, is in that meeting frequently. Like whenever she can be, she's there. So it is like the crossroads for, and organizations talk to each other and report in that meeting about what they're working on. And they also, you know, organize ahead of important meetings and important public events. So Omar, I will ask them to add you as the liaison to the task force and to that circulation.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Member McLean. I appreciate that. And anything you guys can think of, you guys, you know, dealing with, you know, the time we're in now with COVID, you know, it kind of altered everything to where everything's Zoom now or, you know, Microsoft Teams or whatever. So you can pretty much, you know, without as much effort as you could, you know, 3 years ago, as you had to 3 years ago, you can be in a lot of meetings. So I'm willing to do that. You guys just give me the list and, you know, or link me in the way that Member McLean's going to do. You know, give me, if you can't link me in, give me a list of those organizations and I'll reach out to them myself so that we can really make our presence known, you know. That's all I have for that agenda item, Madam Chair. You can do whatever you want to with it.
Thank you so much, Mayor Nickerson. Anything else on that agenda item?
I think Hugh Gladwin had his hand up.
Yes, Mr. Gladwin.
Yeah, I have something that really would be that I would like to be an agenda item for the next meeting, but it has to do with both relating to the Water Management District, the historical status of the Little River, and also trying to fix the flood problems in Sherwood Forest. So they kind of wrap together in an item. My thought was to try to say them during good and welfare, or I don't know if I'm allowed to speak in new business and suggest them there, but you know, it won't take long, but I just wanted to raise them.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Gladwin. Why don't we wait for good and welfare because we're almost there.
Sounds good.
So we can stick to the books. So that being said, I think we're done with item H4. Nothing else on that from anyone? Okay, H5 is the next task force meeting, which is scheduled for March 3rd. Anyone have any issues with that? No issues? March 3rd, okay. Great, so before we move on to unfinished business and general welfare, I'll just circle back. Anything on the regular agenda item from task force members? Okay, great. Moving on to unfinished business and general orders. Any unfinished business and general orders from task force members? Okay, new business, and I will turn this over to Member Kirk to go over J1, which is our open items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have a long-standing open item, and I'm questioning whether we should close it. It's to how to address a flood event that applies to El Portal, but not Miami-Dade County. The last we heard was politically the state's not looking for changes to their approach at the time. We've had this on now for close to 6 months or 5 months. I don't know that we're going to get anywhere with it. So, Madam Chair, I'm kind of asking for your direction, whether you'd like to close this, what you'd like to do with it.
Right, Mayor Nickerson?
Madam Chair, if I may. I mean, it's something that the council is going to have to address eventually, because we just have to figure that out. So if you guys still wanted to come back to the task force, we can do it at that time if you want to take it off for now, or if you want to keep it on there, because it's something that we're going to have to address regardless, just for as a village of El Portal.
Is that something that would be addressed with the same communications item that we've sent to the village? Would that, I mean, what kind of addresses that?
Yeah, it could be addressed that way also.
So is this something you would like us to leave on the open items for now, or something that you think the village council will handle on their own?
I'd like to leave it for now for open on the open items if possible. Just because I want to bring it through when we get that information. I do want to bring it through the task force before it hits the council.
Okay.
All right. Very good. Next one is the FEMA funding update.
So the FEMA funding update, like the Pannoni update, I have those completed. Maybe that should come off. I had those completed, but there's a lot going into the FEMA and the sewer just because of the litigation aspect. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to share it anytime soon in a public meeting. That's the problem with that.
Madam Chair, your direction?
Madam Chair.
Is it something, if you think it's going to be a couple months from now, Mayor Nickerson, maybe it makes sense to take it off? Is that what your feeling is at this point?
Yeah, that's my feeling at this point.
Okay, why don't we close those out, Member Kirk, and then as things progress, maybe Mayor Nickerson, you can let us know when you're ready to provide an update on that from a litigation standpoint. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, Madam Chair.
Okay, great.
All right. Next is the bylaws, the update from the attorney.
Bylaws, me and attorney working the bylaws yesterday. They're pretty much done. They'll be finished. They'll be ready for the next agenda item. They're done. So I just couldn't get them. I just couldn't get them on this agenda. They weren't. No.
Okay. The standard presentation, I think we're gonna leave it on as an item, although do you want to keep it on open as an action item? It's going to be an actual agenda item in the next. Do you want to keep it as an action item?
Yeah, I think it's still an action item because we're all
Okay.
Kristen's going to send it out, and then we're all going to have an opportunity to take a look at it. We'll line item. It looks pretty good already, Kristen, of course, but we'll go through and finalize it next meeting, and then we can take it off at that point.
Okay. All right. Draft of the MDC response letter.
I think that's probably the same situation. I'll send that out to you all. We can preview it before the meeting and then line item that as well on the next meeting. Hopefully in the next meeting, seems like the agenda items are starting to add up.
Yep, they are. That's what I have for the action items here.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And nothing new today. Just continued from the prior one.
Yeah, I think it's Member McLean's deck and my comment letter are the two open items now.
The one that we just agreed to keep on for the flood plan, as well as the bylaws.
Okay, great. That's perfect. Thank you, Member Kirk. All right. Any other new business from the task force?
I have. I was thinking as it was torrentially having downpours and I was in my car. We have one of our throughways on 2nd Avenue. We have a logoed bus stop that is covered. And on Miami Avenue, we don't have any. And I don't know if it's resiliency per se, but that would be, or to put it in a suggestion to maybe put it, because I saw these poor children huddled under like whatever they could, and they're coming from the school and it's torrential downpours and they're getting soaking wet because there is no cover bus stop for them. So I don't know if that's part of our, us for resiliency, or not, but that might be a small change to help those kids. I mean, I wasn't going to pick them up and drive them, but I felt really bad that if everybody was around for the rain yesterday, they were literally standing in the rain waiting for the bus with no bus stop, just like a little sign.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
I'll check into that, Maribel. I'll check into that.
Yeah.
And we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
All right.
That's it. I mean, it was just and the other idea is, I don't know if it's for us to consider, but at one time I had thought to bring it up as a thing for Women's Club initiative, but if you guys are painting, Mayor Nickerson, a lot of our fire hydrants that were not the other people, Barbara Fusel, I forget their
ALE was
ALE committee.
so they painted them. And so now, what is it, like 10 years later, these things are like chipping away and stuff like that. So that would be another like change to spruce those up.
Yeah, we'll do that also.
I don't know if that's public work. It probably is public works, and I'm saying it in task force. So sorry about that all.
We'll get it done. We'll get it done, Vice Chair. We'll get it done. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
All right, thanks, Vice Chair. Anything else from the task force on new business? Okay, well, great. We'll move on to good and welfare. And Mr. Gladwin, you've claimed the first seat on that.
okay. I know I'm limited to 3 minutes, so I'll really try.
You had to pay for a second.
Okay, so there's a bunch of things that are connected to sort of historical stuff, and the Little River and Sherwood Forest. You know, one of them started with the very informative and good information the mayor gave us on the historic seawall. But more recently, a very scary thing has come up with the water management district that got precipitated with the issue of spraying pesticides in the river. And between us and the Pelican Harbor people, we've been going around and around on this, and it's been made very clear to us that from the point of view of the water management district, operationally, the Little River is not a historic river. It's a drainage canal, and it comes completely under the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regulations. And those regulations, among other things, would require, if enforced, cutting down a huge number of trees over the river, because the regulations do not allow any vegetation to overhang the river whatsoever or have any potential of it. So I think we need to really take up the issue, at least for the part of the river where the C7 canal historically ends, to really make
which is east of Northeast 2nd Avenue, right? Or east, it's east of Northeast 2nd Avenue, right?
Northeast 1st Avenue, actually.
Okay.
It actually, Adam found the original, on the original El Pertel plats that the village has. It's very clear where the canal ends and the historic Little River starts. So, you know, that's a big issue for the Conservancy. It's an issue for the Pelican Harbor because it would wipe out their entire nesting bird tree line they have along the river. So that's one thing.
Let me say to you, I now have my Conservancy hat on, not my Resiliency Task Force hat on. I had a call with Christopher, the executive director of Pelican Harbor, this weekend, and we talked about drafting a letter where other groups could sign on to South Florida Water Management around the issue of spraying. And I think it's the first opportunity to put a shot over the bow about this historic distinction between the canal and the river. And so where I left it with Christopher was that I was going to.
Can't hear you.
She's really left us in suspense.
Wait for, while Kristen is waiting to get back, you know, I think that's part of it, but it's a major topic that we have to deal with. And the thing is, Kristen?
I think she's still frozen.
Okay.
She said she was having computer/internet issues earlier.
Okay. Well, let me go on to the second issue that's very closely related. And that issue has to do with the flooding in Sherwood Forest. Elizabeth, I drove by your house during the rain, so I have to ask you sometime later how fast the water went down, but that's a crucial question.
I'm actually not home right now. I'm in Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
But we do have friends staying at our house, and I told them about, it's a good friend of mine, so I've spoken to her about this before. And so I will reach out to her and ask, because I have her watching.
So, so the problem is that we have to put a storm drain in there, and putting in the storm drain is going to require figuring out the spring structure and all. But unfortunately, that's all an archaeological zone. We can't do anything in that area without El Portal getting back into compliance with the laws governing the archaeological zone. And El Portal has been completely out of compliance for years with them. Every building permit, every construction permit that gets issued for any property in Sherwood Forest that involves digging into the ground and is approved by the village is in violation of the law. So it's a big issue, and it's going to require, I think, action related to the environmental status, and I think that it has to become an agenda item. And unfortunately and tragically, it just got really worse because we have one resident in El Portal, Eugene Donaldson, who's been the resident who has been most in touch with the county archaeologists, that he's kind of a line communication for the neighborhood, and he has the records. And over the past 2 months, he and I have had a number of conversations about a strategy to bring the county archaeologists, the historical people in the village, into an informal sort of meeting that would let us negotiate forward something that lets us, fix things, but also has a streamlined procedure for the village, so the archaeological thing can be just an automatic part of our stuff, and at the same time really have future archaeological work that would enhance the historical status of the village. And tragically, last week, Eugene died suddenly, unexpectedly. We have no idea what the cause is. So, and without him, we're still reeling from it from our part of the neighborhood, but without him, I don't see a way forward without maybe the task force taking this on as an item to pursue. Because if we don't do this, not only is it going to be huge hardship for residents of the area, but it will also make impossible, a critical, that park area is the one place where we need an additional project for a storm drain that will solve the problem and will be affordable. I think we can get funding for it very quickly, but we have to deal with this other thing, So I won't say any more, but I definitely want this to be an agenda item, and either one of you can put it on, or I will.
I was gonna suggest that we take it up as a topic in future meeting.
Okay, so you'll do that.
That would be great. And Mr. Gladwin, at that meeting that we put this on the agenda, I don't know if Kristen or Hugh, you have more knowledge about this, but maybe you could give us a little bit more information on the historical preservation issues, or even just our existing storm drain system.
Yeah, actually I did in the Ada flooding report.
We have some material that we can enter into the record and maybe even circulate in advance, Hugh, so that we can prep that conversation.
I'll pull that out of the Ada flooding report and stick it in.
That would be great. Yeah, and that could get circulated with the agenda item in the same way that Mayor Nickerson was mentioning for our other supporting documents. That would be wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything else from?
Yes.
Is that Mr. Kirk?
It is.
Okay.
Madam Chair, as I notified you earlier on, my wife and I have decided to sell our house and are moving out of the area.
Oh, no.
As such, I obviously will need to resign from this committee, and I will do that at your, when the timing works for you guys. I can be here another 2 months, but certainly you'll want some time to figure out who the replacement is, et cetera. But
Get an offer, Courtney? Have you got an offer?
We had 6 offers within 48 hours.
Amazing.
Wow.
Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. I had seen that email. Member Kirk said, thank you so much for letting us all know. And I personally was not happy to see that we'd be losing you from the task force, but I'm certainly happy for you and your family and those next steps. But thank you for letting me know. I know in my personal opinion, I'll defer to the task force as a whole. I know I would like to have you on as long as possible. But I think Mayor Nickerson, we kind of turn that back over to you for appointing a new member. I know after we lost our previous member, that was an issue with the village council that we realized needed the replacement needed to be filled by the village council, I believe. Is that correct?
But I changed that when I first came in. Remember that first month, and I passed that that resolution. So now you guys can vote somebody in. You guys can, if you guys know somebody, you guys can bring somebody in. And if you guys don't feel comfortable with that, I can find somebody. But you guys now have that option. I put that in that resolution, that first meeting that I was mayor.
And if we can get our bylaws redlined and approved, then we kind of have the structure to do it ourselves. So.
Yeah. Well, remember the first bylaws you guys already approved are already approved. Like they're already now, like they're approved as far as the task force goes. Attorney Geller just had ideas that he wanted to adjust, but that doesn't mean that vote that we took at that time is not currently in effect. So we still have that until we change it, if we change it. So.
Okay. Well, again, I'd like to express my sadness at hearing you leaving us, Member Kirk. You obviously are a great asset to the team. So thanks for letting us know, but we're not happy.
At all. Not only to the task force, but to the village and the community as a whole. So it's going to be like humongous loss, you guys. Humongous loss.
Courtney has set a new bar for note taking.
I know.
For the rest of my life, I think. I'm not sure anyone will ever meet the high bar that Courtney has set for diligent note taking.
No, I mean, just like not only the high bar for note taking, but just like the intellectual, conversation, the intellectual thought that he brings to the task force is something that I'm. Let me just tell you guys something. I've leaned on Courtney over the years. He was my across the street neighbor for a long period of time, and we've talked about so many things that in my worst moments, I went over to his house and cried on the shoulder of not only him but Lee also. So in my worst moments that I've ever gone through my entire life. So it's going to be a huge loss in every aspect.
Thank you all for the kind words. I appreciate it. We will miss El Portal, and quite honestly, not the physical property, or although it's gorgeous, it's really the community and the neighbors in the neighborhood that make this an incredibly special place. The diversity of thought, diversity of background, of education, of ideas, really makes El Portal a unique area.
We're really going to miss you, Mr. Kirk, to be honest. So it's a shame. I didn't know. I had no idea. Where are you going to? Where are you guys moving to?
St. Augustine, Jacksonville area.
Hey!
Oh, that's nice. I'm happy now. I'm happier now for you guys. That's great. That's a beautiful area.
Because that's where Aaron and I are, when Ty goes to college, that's where we're going too.
Excellent. We might have somebody we know then.
Your neighbors.
Yeah, he actually does all the other masters in Taekwondo. They actually all live in St. Augustine. So he goes up every 3 to 4 months. So we road trip over there a lot. So it's a beautiful area. Very
Well,
historical too.
I wish you all the luck, and you're moving to a really beautiful area. So that's
Yeah.
good for you guys.
It's gonna be cold.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. Well,
I move we adjourn the meeting.
any other good in welfare? Hold that motion.
Just 15 seconds just to confirm to everybody that we did fully fund our sensor project and we're now into our stretch goal. So we're going to put a minimum of 2 and possibly 3 sensors into the Little River. We're in the process now of starting the research on exactly what we're going to put in there. We're going to put a couple into Biscayne Canal too. So we got 9 more days if anybody wants to find us a super donor. But we did also pick up $1,500 in challenge grants from the platform as well. So I think we're at about 7,000.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's
so
great news. We need some good news after Courtney's news. Thanks, Kristen.
All right, so it's out there, a super donor.
Yep, looking for a couple super donors to add a couple more sensors.
All right. Anything else with good and welfare?
I have just last one item. It's just quick. I'm not sure if it's related to resilience, but it's something, I mean, resilience in what sense? Resiliency not against, the weather conditions or the environment, like physical environment, but I will say that it's resiliency regarding the mental health of our community. And I have heard from many of the neighbors that are parents, myself included. I mean, my daughter is, thank God, is a little older, but the ones that have younger kids, they are really, really complaining about the park, our tot lodge. I understand that the administration doesn't have enough manpower to get the twice a day that it has to be sanitized or cleaned or whatnot, because that is what I've heard, that when they call the administration, they get this response from the administration of the city. But I think that this is it's a detriment for the health of our kids, to be honest. Is for our little ones in the community. They really want to go and play. They really need that space, and it's part of our sanity during this really hard times. So I just wanted to bring it to the task force. I don't know if we can take it on into supporting somehow any funding for her. I don't know. I'm just giving. And I'm being the messenger, and I know that in the next next week, you at the council, that will be noted. Absolutely, someone is going to speak out about it. But it's something that maybe we, as a task force, we can actually help out in terms of the resiliency towards or against the situation and the mental environment that we need for our community, the sanity that we need for our community. Just a little point to it.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Please.
Yeah. So the opening up the parks, I put it on the November agenda. It was on the it was also in the committee meeting also. And the problem that we came up with, which it was myself, Vice Mayor Erbaum, and Councilperson Corella. I have it on this agenda also again. I get calls about it every day. I remember when we were painting when we were doing the Martin Luther King, on Martin Luther King Day, when we were doing the day of service, and we were painting the stand, we were painting the flower swap. And I was telling Maribel and them, I don't know if she remembers this, but I was telling her I get calls about the parks every day.
Yeah.
From residents. I was telling them I get calls about the parks every day. The problem is that the majority of people are going to want to go in the parks on the weekends, because that's when the majority of people are not going to be working. We don't have staff on the weekends. So the only way we're going to be able to do this is to bring in a cleaning company twice a day on Saturdays and Sundays. Now, we can bring in somebody during the week, but also we don't have the staffing. Like we just don't have the people on staff to be able to go out and properly clean according to what the county needs the park twice a day. So it's going to cost money. We can do it, but it's just going to cost money from the villagers, from the taxpayers, if you guys want that to be done. And that's the problem, and that's what I put it on the agenda in November, and it was in the committee, and I couldn't get it passed for that reason, because they said that it wasn't worth spending the extra money for the tot lot when they said that, the Miami Shores is right up the street and Morningside is right down the street and things like that. So, but it's on the agenda for February, it's not really a task force thing. It's on the agenda for next week. Next Tuesday is going to be on the agenda. I put it back on the agenda again because I get calls about it all the time, but it's a money situation. We just don't have the staffing to do it without having to pay a lot of extra money for it.
And I wouldn't say that the village wants to take a side where they would have litigation because somebody's deciding that they got COVID or something from it not being cleaned properly. If a volunteer resident said, "Oh, I'll do it on the weekends and I'll clean it," because that'll be how do you track that? How do you trust that? So that, I mean, I want the playground open myself because, it's great for El Portal, like he said, but I agree with, we don't need lawsuits that people are suing the village because they got COVID or they got something happened.
Well, Miami Shores has the tot lot open and they are not cleaning or sanitizing it twice a day, sorry, if they're getting it just once. And all the residents there in Miami Shores got a letter letting and understanding what the waiver without signing it means, it's up, you know what I mean? But it's signing. And they did it. They're doing it that way. And I have the letter, so I can probably send it to Mayor Nickerson and what the residents got with the information. If they can, we may be able to. At the end of the day, is a smaller tot lot, and if we can just do it once a day, we'll clean and sanitize it once a day at the beginning of the opening, just right before it's open to the public.
Yeah, can't we just post a sign that says that people use it at their own risk?
Yes.
No, we can't do it like that, you guys. We can't as a government say, you guys, you do it at your own risk. And then somebody.
Miami Shores is doing it. Why can we not? I don't understand.
This is the thing. Miami Shores can do what Miami Shores can do. Miami Shores has the money and the income to where if they go through any type of litigation or anything like that, they can handle that. We have $45,000 in our reserves. That's less than a lot of people.
Yeah, but nobody.
So I understand. I'm not here to really argue with you, Ms. Valencia. I understand you guys want to get it. Like I said, it's on the agenda for Tuesday, and not only is it on the agenda for Tuesday. So we can bring these things up Tuesday. Tuesday's a hybrid meeting. You can come on to the Zoom when we get to this agenda item on Tuesday, and you can bring up exactly what you discussed here. But the thing about it is, Miami Shores can risk it if they want to. I'm not going to risk you guys.
But they're not risking it. It's part of the understanding of the community of the use of a service or something. So it's been notified to the residents, and it has been notified to every single resident.
On Tuesday. We can bring that up on Tuesday. And it'll have to be something that the majority of the council agrees to, and so we can do it like that. Thank you, Madam.
I don't believe legally you can just say use at your own risk and walk away. Significant legal boundaries that you have to have. But
perhaps I had some concerns about that as well. But that's something I'm sure that Attorney Geller, who's more familiar with government law, can probably answer at the town hall.
Okay.
We looked into it, you guys. I looked into it. We looked into that when it was on the agenda last time. We looked into it because the first thing that people came around and was talking about, and this will be the last thing, and I'll get ready to end it. But the first thing people came around and was talking about was, look, the residents who want the park back open, they'll volunteer to clean the park. That was the first thing. And anything with you can do it at your own risk, or even residents coming in and volunteer to clean the park, legally as a government, we can't do that. Because if somebody gets COVID or if somebody gets sick or anything like that, people are going to they're going to look at us like, you guys, the government, allow individuals who aren't officially part of the government to clean for the government. And that's just something legally, when Attorney Geller looked at it, he was like, no, he was like, absolutely not. And so that, or like Member Kirk said, things like, enter at your own risk. As a government, we can't do that. And as a mayor, that would be irresponsible of me to allow that to be done.
Fair
you.
enough.
All right, guys, so it's 4:45, I'm sorry, 5:45. I'm an hour behind, so my phone has a different time. It's 5:45. Does anyone, I don't mean to cut everyone off, but I just wanted to remind everyone of the time, and is there anything else on good and welfare? No, okay, great. Anything else on anything? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, hearing a motion in a second, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the meeting is officially adjourned at 5:45 p.m. Eastern time.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Be safe. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Take care, you guys. Bye.